Hi, everybody. You are listening to Judging Meghan with your host, Meghan Judge. Hi, Michelle. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Megan. Thanks for having me.
I'm going to introduce you in 2 seconds. So, okay, this is how I'm going to start, everybody. I recently, and Michelle, you live in my area. I know you personally. I'm just addressing this really quickly for my, I have listeners all over. Thankfully, thank you for wherever you're listening all over the world. I always love my listeners and I'm so appreciative. But I just want to kind of address something that happened locally in my I live in Manhattan Beach, California. I had a neighbor that said over the last weekend, her son had been harmed, and a car pulled up and the kids were all playing outside and there was an attempted kidnapping. And so I know this woman, somebody had told me about what happened, and it happened right around the corner from my house. I reached out to her to say, I have a platform, I have a social media following. Can I do anything to help you? I made a slide saying this is what happened. If there's any information, reported to our local police department. And it was whatever the description of the man was. Okay. The next thing I know, I made this little slide. I had people coming after me saying that it was a hoax. Okay. This is a hoax. This is a lie. All this stuff. I personally know this woman. She is very kind. She's a doctor. I was shocked. There were a lot of people in the community that were really kind, saying, what can we do to help? But then there were a few that were saying, this is a hoax. And the word hoax, number one, is not appropriate.
No.
And Michelle, you're welcome to, I'm going to ask you and you can.
Well, I live in the same area. I'm
Yeah.
familiar with the area, and we live in a very safe area. So to have this happen is shocking.
Yeah.
It-
Alarming. And it's
yeah.
also, we do live in Los Angeles, and at the core of all of this is, and one of the ladies that reached out to me, I know she was probably reaching out saying, this isn't true and these are the reasons why. And people are scared. We all have kids. I was scared. That's part of why I wanted to help. But just all of a sudden, it was just an onslaught. And then there's an app called Nextdoor, which I think is all
Yes.
over the country.
Yes.
And I read what the mother had posted, and all these people were coming after her, calling her a liar. I think at the core of what I'm trying to say is, in the climate that we're living in right now, is people, I think, feel very comfortable hiding behind keywords, saying mean things, living behind rumors, spreading misinformation. Whether, the story is, I hope that it was some kind of confusion and something happened and none of this is true. At the root of all of this, we need to keep our kids safe, no matter where you live.
Right.
There's no guarantees. You could live on a farm and something could happen. You know what I'm saying? But at the root of all of this is, let's be kind to each other. There's no reason to jump on each other, make each other feel bad. We already are living through enough right now in these times. And I honestly, my heart was really heartbroken that day. I ended up taking the post down. I think there's an open investigation about whatever happens. So either way, whatever happens, I hope that these people get help and their son's okay. And if there is any confusion or anything going on, I think what I'm trying to say to everybody is take 2 steps back and maybe think about something before you start making claims in general, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. So I just wanted to address that. So that's the first point. My second point is, hello, Michelle Crosby, and welcome to my podcast.
I agree.
So Michelle is an RN. She has 25 years of experience in both, correct me if I'm wrong, but hospital care and aesthetics. And Michelle is my favorite person because she studies a face like nobody's business. She does. I'm very honest and upfront with my listeners that I am aging. And part of why I wanted you to come on is because I love what you're doing. And I think we age as women however we choose to age. I personally
Absolutely.
look at Michelle and I say, Michelle, what can I do next? And please help me. And so my point is, she created this incredible app called Integrated Her, and I have downloaded it and I love it. And so I said, you have to come on because I want you to talk about all things beauty, all things health, all things aging. So welcome, welcome after that 25-minute intro. The
Huh?
podcast is now
Thank you.
over.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So as you said, I've been a nurse for 25 years, and my background started in plastic surgery before I was ever a nurse. And then I went to nursing school, and then I went to critical care for about a decade. And then I got kind of burnt out in the hospital, went back to plastic surgery for 15 years, worked with lots of different plastic surgeons across Florida, California, Beverly Hills, lots of specialists. And mainly what I did was just pay attention. I didn't sit in the corner twiddling my thumbs. I paid attention. I asked questions. I was a real pain in the butt to a lot of surgeons, but I had a real curiosity for the aging process. When I worked in critical care, I worked with the geriatric community. I saw how everything fell apart. I saw the end of life. I saw how it all just crumbled. And before our lives ended. And then in plastic surgery, I learned how we put everything back together. And then about 6 years ago, I made a deal with a plastic surgeon that I met here in Torrance. And I said, I would build out your surgery center. I will get it accredited. I'll staff it. I will do everything. But teach me aesthetics. Teach me the injectables. Teach me the lasers. Teach me all of this stuff. This is what I want to learn. Mainly because I'm getting up there. I've been doing this a long time. And I got tired of waking up at 5:30 in the morning. And surgeons can be a real handful. So I wanted to do the fun stuff, and the fun stuff related to a lot of the things that I was going through and what I was seeing in the mirror. And how can I, you know, slow down the hands of time without looking like a plastic Barbie doll? And beyond that, how can I maintain my health? So for the last 6 years, I've been doing aesthetics. I am lucky enough to be mentored by a facial surgeon as well as a dermatopathologist who specializes in all things skin. And through the last 6 years that I've been doing this, I started to see the connection between how we take care of ourselves physically and what we're noticing on the outside. So I had an idea, and somehow that idea just wound up turning into an and I went to my husband and I said, I think I want to make an app. And he said, okay, I'll make it for you. So over the last 4 months, he put my brain and all of my crazy ideas into an app to help women find answers that are so simple, because when you go to the internet, it's overwhelming.
Okay, I want to interrupt you for 1 second because so far I love everything. I mean, honest, I say this all the time to people, and my listeners are probably like, be quiet, Meghan, but you really did have me at hello. I started getting, I shouldn't say work, but I started doing Botox at 25. I had really bad 11s. I take pretty good care of my skin. I've always been into aesthetics, and honestly, part of it probably is living in Los Angeles, and we all are we all sadly are pretty vain here, but it's also about feeling good. And what I found that as I'm getting older and I look in the mirror and things are changing, it's kind of depressing because if you feel like you're still pretty fit and you're working out and you're doing all the things and you notice your face is starting to fall or whatever is happening, it's hard on your mind. For me personally,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard. I come in and I talk to you and I'm like, what can I do here? What can I do there without getting a facelift, which I'm sure I will inevitably do. And if my husband's listening, I know I need to say that. But I just think when I met you and the way that you take care and you really study somebody's face and you really talk about, well, this is why this is happening, or this is why that is happening. I think you're the best person to come up with this idea with all of your experience, and it all makes sense. I personally downloaded the app for my listeners, and I kind of went down the rabbit hole of logging in my information, doing answering all the questions, because we can look as good as we want as we get older. And even you could get a facelift. I know people that have gotten facelifts already and they look great, but it's also matters what's on the inside, right? So you could be getting Botox and filler and all these things. And if your skin looks bad, you have all of kinds of other flare-ups and things going on with your digestion. It has to go hand in hand. So I wanted you to talk about that.
Exactly. Yes. Everything that happens on the inside shows up on the outside. And that was kind of my aha moment when I had this idea that eventually led to the app. Is there's a specific treatment in aesthetics that's been around for a while and is pretty popular. It's called PRF or PRP. And that's where we draw your blood, we spin it down, we pull out the growth factors, and then we re-inject it to try and help your body heal and improve the damage in the skin. And what I found was that some people got amazing results and other people didn't. It was like I did nothing. And I started putting together the pieces of what was happening because I can take the product, but the patient is giving me the product. And so the product is only as good as what the patient can give me. So if you're chronically ill and you have autoimmune diseases and you don't drink water and you live off caffeine and you drink a lot of alcohol, the product you're giving me is not going to be very good. And if you take care of yourself and you eat protein and you stay away from alcohol and refined sugars and dairy and inflammatory things, then the product you're giving me is fantastic and you're going to get a better result that lasts longer. So that is what got me started thinking about all of this. And I started paying attention to my clients' results and really asking more questions about their health and their lifestyle and what they do outside of what they're just presenting to me. And I started learning more about functional health. And functional health looks at not just normals, but optimals. And so ideally, I made this for my clients. I made this for all the people that come and see me who say, my doctor says I'm normal. I feel like crap. I look like crap. Why do I look like this? Why do I feel like this? Just make me look better. And so looking in between the normal to the optimal is where I found this niche of getting the best results possible for the people that come to see me. And it all ties into the health. And a lot of it ties into micronutrients. And that goes back to the food that we eat. And one of my very best friends is a dietitian, works with cancer patients. And she is very strongly a good, strong proprietor. She's a lack of better word, great fox again. Hello, perimenopause. And
welcome to my life. Yes, go ahead.
And she's always pushing, eat your food, don't take the supplements, eat better food. But even in our society now, the food that we eat now it's not as nutrient dense as it was when we were children or when our parents were our age. It's just not as nutrient dense. And a lot of medications that we take, statins, even hormones and things like that we take, can cause micronutrient deficiencies that you're not even aware of. So the app looks at all of it. It looks at your daily life, what you take in your medications, how you go about your day, the diet that you take, that you eat normally. Are you vegetarian? Are you keto? Are you doing both? How much water you take every day? And also looks at, what is your skin doing today? How are you feeling today? How well did you sleep? And it puts all of it together and can detect micronutrient deficiencies or early metabolic dysfunction. Then the longer you log these things and more patterns and assessments you can find, and then the app can say, okay, well, maybe you're having some early thyroid dysfunction. So let's start a protocol. And the protocol is just simple lifestyle tweaks.
By the way, I have to interrupt you to say this. I loved that there's a part in the app when I was filling in all my information and logging my day where it talks about that. It talks about, you put in, for my listeners, I'm very honest about my own health and what I'm doing and anti-aging and all that stuff. My diet's not perfect. I'm a vegetarian. I'm actually a pescatarian. I have been for years. But I am on the GLP-1s. I've been on and off like most of them. I've gained weight, I've lost weight, I've had a hysterectomy in the past couple years. I'm on estrogen patches and testosterone. And now I think I even asked you the other day, and you brought this up on something you sent me about how women now are going, well, we're not the Golden Girls, and we don't want to throw in the towel, and we still want to feel good and look good and internally feel good and age well. So there's so much stuff coming out, like the peptides and all of that kind of stuff. And you brought up, um, I want you to speak to that. And I hate to interrupt you, but I really wanted to ask
Yep,
you that.
you are absolutely right. That was kind of also involved in why I made this app, is
Mm,
because my patients were coming to me and saying, okay, my doctor says I feel that I'm normal. Everything looks good, but I still don't feel great.
mhm.
So I see these peptides. I want to learn more about these peptides. And peptides is a whole new gray market of things that could be great, could be dangerous, and not enough medical professionals are actually looking into it and using them. Finding an actual functional medicine doctor that utilizes peptides is very difficult right now in this space, but there is a lot of interest in it. And women are curious, overwhelmed, and confused. All of that. And my app I made for all the women out there who are trying but failing. And so I'm trying to give with the app a starting point, some kind of direction that you can go that is personalized to you, not the generic. When I go on these Facebook groups for all the women our age and Gen X and millennials that are trying to age well, and they're asking each other, and it's layperson asking layperson, and they go, well, this is what worked for me, or this is what worked for me. But it has to be personalized to the individual. And that's what I try and do when I have my consultations with people, is I try and personalize it to the individual of what specifically they need. Um, because like finding things on the internet, it's overwhelming. It could be anything. And women are spending thousands and thousands of dollars on stuff that is a lot of times wasteful and
Mhm.
not apparent. It's not tailored to them what they need.
I
And
also think to speak to that, because I wanted to do an episode actually about peptides. To believe it or not, I went to look up podcasts that talk about peptides. There's maybe a couple episodes in total, and I
yeah,
listened to the Huber. Is his name Andrew Huberman? I might be saying it wrong. It was actually
maybe.
listeners, just to give you another podcast to listen to. I think it's called the Huberman Lab. I might be wrong on that. Just Google peptide podcast. There's so much misinformation out there. And I listened to his, and it was really scary to find out that there's a whole black market. It's
Yeah,
just like when the GLP-1s came out. Now there's Retatrutide, I think is how you say it, which has not been approved. Um,
right,
where people are just going, oh, you can lose 10 pounds. Let me shoot myself up with something I don't even know what's in it. And it's really
right.
a scary thing,
It is
because
scary.
these peptides I've heard, again, this is like rumor mill, which I talked about in the beginning. They can cause cancer. You don't know what's in them. So you have to be so careful, right?
Right. Well, and that's another misinformation. It's not really studied that they can cause cancer.
Okay.
If you, and some studies show that the ones that are growth hormone stimulating, if you have cancer brewing that
Mhm.
you don't know about, it can amplify and make that happen and make that replicate faster in some studies. But there's a lot of misinformation out there. And a lot of times, like I said, there's a whole group of women that are like, I'm jumping on the GLP-1s, I'm jumping on the NAD, and I'm jumping on all of these growth hormone ones to feel better, when really it could just be that you needed the right B vitamin, like a methylated
Mhm.
B vitamin to feel better. You might have just needed the proper form of vitamin D to feel better. I have specifically a client that came to me who went to her OBGYN. Her OBGYN said, oh, everything looks normal. Let's get you on this peptide stack. Started her on 4 or 5 different peptides all at once. And she came back to me a couple months later because she was so excited to start them. And then when I saw her again for her next round of Botox, she's like, I have to get an endoscopy. I have to get a colonoscopy. I have to get all this GI workup done. I got so sick off of these peptides. And I was like, well, didn't she do a full panel of blood work and scans and a full? She's like, no, she just started me on these peptides. I was like, well, that is part of the problem.
Oh my
You,
God. And it's so true. And listeners, I have so many women in our age group that are, we're all going through perimenopause, menopause, and obviously they don't put the money into studying women like they do,
no,
hence the
you really
little
haven't.
blue pill, right?
Right, right. They
That's
have,
that anything a man wants, it's fine. But once we get to a certain age, we're just supposed to go out in a field and be ugly and just yell at people because we're menopausal. And none of us want to do that. We all want to be in a Karen-free zone. So what I'm trying to say is the studies that the lack of studies on women is, I feel like it's gotten better with Oprah and all and Goop and all this stuff. But
yeah,
you have to be so careful, ladies, just taking something that you hear about in an ad over the internet. I know I'm guilty of going on Instagram and I'm a sucker for buying something. Like I'm not going to say which brand it is, but you'll die, Michelle, because what I complain about on I hate this, everyone. If you're watching, I hate that I'm starting to sag. So Michelle is trying to help me. We're talking about all the new lasers, which we can touch on at the end. But I, I bought one of those creams, right? And it's supposed to lift. And
right.
again, if something sounds too good to be true, whether it be like a lifting cream or all of a sudden you're going to lose 10 pounds, you don't know what's in these vitamins. You don't know what's in a patch that you're going to go get your blood tested. Go to a doctor,
Yeah,
get your blood tested because you don't want to end up. I know tons of moms that have ended up in that situation that you're talking about too, where they end up having digestive issues. So go to a doctor, a real doctor, and get your blood drawn.
right.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, and that is part of the app that I made, is it's
Mhm.
a starting point to investigate what your everyday complaints are that are keeping you from feeling your best. Once the app detects a pattern that could be applicable to your situation, it will suggest some lifestyle protocols that you can follow to try and either rule out that issue or further confirm that that's an issue you need to take to your doctor. You can then download all of that information and take it to your doctor. It will tell you these are the questions you should ask your doctor specifically for. These are the lab work, the tests that you should ask your doctor to look for. Specific labs that go, can you test me for this? Can you test me for that? Think about it this way. When you go to your doctor, this is just part of society now. The way the healthcare system works, you get 10 minutes with your doctor. You go, my stomach hurts every time after I eat. Okay, well, what are you eating? Try stop eating that. Here, take this medication. Oh, you're not sleeping well? Take this medication. But if you can stop and really investigate, I'm not sleeping well. My stomach hurts after this. I'm tired after this. And you start connecting all of those dots, you may find that your answer is not 4 different medications. It's one specific metabolic issue or micronutrient deficiency causing all of that. And if you just fix that one thing, all of your other problems may resolve. And we don't spend the time to really investigate how all of these little nuances work
Mhm.
together. But with AI now and being able to put all of that information in to make a giant algorithm, which is what my app does, it can find those patterns and then take that and assess it with all of your lifestyle and point you in a direction that could save you thousands of dollars and lots of headache and lots of time. Because as Gen X and millennial women, the one thing that we have very short tolerance for is BS and wasting time and wasting money. And so when women don't want to waste time and don't want to waste money, and a lot of time they'll just say, forget it, this is just how it is. When really, you shouldn't have to live like that. You
I
really should.
agree. I agree. So to take a turn,
Yeah.
did we leave anything out on the app? Because I really love it. I love it. I just started using it, listeners. Michelle I got a little treat where I got to try it out for free for a week. So
Everyone can. Everyone.
everyone can. Okay,
I
so
have it
everyone
set
can.
where if you download the app, you can
Yeah.
try the whole app for a week free. You'll get, when you initially put in all your information, as you saw, you get like initial health snapshot assessment of your overall okay, this is what you eat, this is what you drink, this is what your problems are. Maybe this is what you should be paying attention to. But after you log for a week, it'll start finding patterns. When you get those patterns, you'll also get a weekly assessment and you'll get some glow intel, which will be about your external vitality, what we call it, about your skin, about what you're looking at. It'll give you skincare advice. It'll say for your age and your skin type and where you live and in the climate you live in, this is the kinds of things that you should be, these are the ingredients you should be looking for in your skincare to correct the problems you're having. So no, it's not going to recommend a specific laser or a specific brand of skincare, but it'll tell you the ingredients you should be looking for to help correct the issues that you specifically are having in your specific type of skin, for your specific age, in your specific climate that you live. And all of that makes a difference, because I cannot tell you how many times when they come to me and they go, oh, that was so helpful. And that is the one thing that led me down this path, is the feedback that I get outside of the skills that I have, is that I can explain things very well and that I can make it simple. So that's what I did with my husband, God bless him, put all of my crazy ideas in my brain and how I assess people and how I give information to them all into this app. And I made him crazy. And we did not divorce. We've been together for 27 years. And
Oh my
we did not
God, you're
divorce in
beating
this.
me. You're beating me.
Yes, we did. We did not kill each other and create this app. But every time he thought I was done, I'd come back and go, okay, can you make it do this now? Can you make it do this? What about this? Even this morning, I was asking him to add more things because I'm constantly thinking of new things to make it better. So anyone who has downloaded the app, there's a new version coming out probably in the next few days as I add some more things I want for it to do. Into it, and just I'm constantly trying to make it better and make it easier for women to find the answers they need without wasting tons of money and tons of time.
I think it's a great idea. I really honestly do. I've been obviously freshly using it, but I just love it because it really it also kind of makes you think a little bit,
Yeah,
it goes,
yeah,
oh, well, that you'll see, listeners, when you download it and you try it, at least try the 7-day trial. Cause I'm
absolutely.
looking forward to doing that. And I think it's reasonably priced. You can talk about that at the end when we tell everyone to find it. But while I have you and we still have some time, I want to ask you about the beauty side of things,
Yeah,
meaning everybody's talking about Korean skincare
love it.
and Koreans and Korean lasers
Yeah,
and I obviously try to do my homework. I follow every plastic surgeon that everyone else does that's in our age group to try and get information on what kind of facelift and all of the things. But what are some things that you can recommend for my listeners as far as Korean skincare that I know you're a big believer in, that I
uh,
started trying a sample of something that you gave me. And then also the new laser we were talking about when I saw you, the Zurf. Everyone's talking about Zurf, but you said there's a new one. So I would love for you to kind of talk to my listeners about that.
okay. Well, I am a huge fan of Korean skincare because my mentor is Korean. And he still has family over there, and they go over there every year. They're about to leave again for 3
Let's
weeks.
give him a shout out because I obviously
Oh,
go to him too. Dr. On. We'll give
yes,
Dr. On a
Dr. Eric Allen, and he's been my mentor for the last 6 years. And we are in Awaken Aesthetics in Torrance. And Dr. Allen is phenomenal at teaching me facial anatomy and me learning everything Korean skincare. Luckily, his wife Esther is fluent in Korean, and so she can translate all of the key beauty products that I find and anything that comes over. They have been phenomenal at bringing over the stuff before anyone in America even knows about it. So like the Regeron that people know about now, I've had that for 3 years. And when we first got it, I was trying to tell people about PDRN and they were like, what are you talking about, Sam?
Wait, let me interrupt you. Is that the little bottle that you showed me or no? That's something else.
Which one did I give you?
The little serum and it comes in a whole box and you said,
Oh, no, that is the latest. That is the top serum. And that's from a company called Keyvice. That is brand new too. So yeah, I'm lucky enough to get all the stuff before people even really know what it is. And I get really excited about it. So the top serum is from Keyvice, and you can microneedle it in. You can also put it on topically. My new favorite is the MGF Intense, and that's what I gave you. That's for glass skin. And I don't know if you can see on the
Hello,
face now,
everybody. No, I'm
but
joking.
yeah,
And I had an IP, I
wait,
had to have some things lasered off. So if you're watching
yes,
on YouTube, Michelle had to, because I had some precancerous stuff, which we're going to talk about next week with my guests. So but just stay out of the sun too, right? We have
yeah,
to remind people wear your sunscreen.
please sunscreen,
Yeah.
yes. I
Yeah.
mean, I grew up in Florida. I mean, I spent many summer days on the roof of my house with my baby oil on. I promise you, I was not good, but I am obsessive now about sunscreen. So please, listeners, use your sunscreen.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, precancerous lesions are real, and get your skin checked.
Every
Look at
6
those things.
months, every 6
Yes.
months. I'm doing an episode next week actually about a survivor of melanoma.
Yeah,
I had a little scare on my leg. I had it removed. My mom had melanoma. We had a
absolutely.
family member lose, not a family member, a family friend. Melanoma is nothing to mess around with. So
Absolutely.
aside from the vanity piece, take care, like just wear hats, ladies, when you go outside.
Yeah.
I have these sunspots all over me that I hate, Michelle, that you're going to have to help me get removed. I wish something would come out that could get rid of these sunspots that wasn't so, for your bot. I know that there is stuff, but it just like they come back, like the
It,
IPL, all this stuff, right?
yes, they can come back, but that's because it's damage done from when we were kids,
Yeah.
damage
Yeah.
done when we were running around as teenagers with baby oil on. I mean, that damage shows up decades later. And so that's why I'm always preaching sun protection. Sun protection, please, sun protection. Oh, something else you asked me about was one of the latest devices. Something brand new. There's only 10 in America right now. Dr. On was wise enough to snatch one up. It's called the Onda Pro, Onda. And that, I believe, in my opinion, is going to replace a treatment called the Morpheus body. Morpheus has got a bad rap for the face. And it can
I've
be
done it. It hurt. It's the most pain. It's
yeah,
not the most
so
painful,
painful.
but
It's so
still, it's
painful.
painful. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically like putting a staple gun into your face, everyone.
Yeah, that's what people tell me. They're like,
Yeah.
it's like being stapled. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. But the Onda doesn't work like that. It uses radio frequency waves, but it uses very strong radio frequency waves, much stronger than the Zurf. And its intention is to melt fat. So it is primarily used for body and body sculpting. And I love body sculpting. It's one of my favorite things to do is to melt fat and tighten skin, and blame it for over a decade doing liposuction and facelifts and stuff like that. It's one of my favorite things. So the Onda is my favorite new toy to play with. It's non-invasive. You do 3 to 4 treatments once a month, melts fat, tightens skin. It is beautifully paired with all the people that are losing weight from the GLP-1s,
Hmm.
or for people that are scared for the GLP-1s and they still want to do some body contouring. There are the 3 different hand pieces that come with it. There's the Kardashians went over to Korea and they promoted it, so it's getting a lot of exposure right now. But there are only 10 in America right now, and the Cartessa, the company that purchased it from the Onda manufacturer, is the first one brought to America. The Onda machine itself is already had 3 iterations of it only in Korea. But Cartessa, who makes our Deca Helix laser and our Discovery Pico lasers, they purchased this specific Onda laser. The Onda will be available to the masses at the end of summer. We're getting a lot of interest in it. When I'm not using it, and I'm using it a lot in the last few months that I've had it, we're getting a lot of doctors coming by and testing it out, trying it, and wanting to purchase it. It will take over.
Can you spell it? Because I was interested in the Zurf. So
Yeah.
listeners, I have this area that I hate as we age, and I am on the GLP-1s, and you would not be able to tell by this giant puffy sleeve blouse, which is so unflattering. But whatever, I told Michelle before we started recording, why am I wearing it? But it looks cute if you see the whole thing. Anyway, my point is, I love to change topics. I feel like there's so much information, like this Zurf laser coming out, which
Yeah.
everyone's talking about. And I think
Scarf's been out for about a year. That's radio frequency too, and it's
okay,
for skin tightening. Great for skin tightening. On the fence on how much it actually melts.
okay,
Fat. It says that it doesn't because it's water-based and but it does go deeper than the other RF devices that stay superficial.
hmm
Because it does go deeper, it's supposed to get better tightening because it's attracted to the water chromophore. Supposedly, it doesn't melt fat because that is more oil-based, not much water. But the studies show that maybe it can melt a little bit of fat, but the Onda is specific for fat. So if you've got some bulges you want to take care of
hmm
and tighten skin, it's going to replace what Cool Sculpting used to do.
mm.
Uh, Cool Sculpting took care of fat for some people, but did nothing for skin. Morpheus took care of fat and skin for the body really well, but it hurt like hell, and it took a long time to recover from weeks of staying out of the sun and recovery for the body. But the Onda for the body, Onda cannot be used on the face and the cheeks. It really is not
It's
meant for
just
that
like this
that
area you
fatty
said.
jawline, that
Yeah.
fat jawline down. I do it on my arms. I've done it on my knees. I'm doing punches of bellies. I'm doing thighs. I'm doing butts. I'm doing flanks. I'm doing lots of jawline. And it does a beautiful job to sharpen that jawline.
So how do you spell it for my listeners, just so they can look it up?
ONDA.
Okay.
ONDA.
And I suggest, since there's only 10 in the United States, but if I do have listeners in Korea, by the way,
Yeah.
hi to my Korean listeners. Um, y- Obviously I'm fascinated by your culture and the fact that we're all, I mean, what is the show I'm watching? Oh, Beef. Do you watch Beef?
I love beef.
And
Yes.
so I'm on
But
season 2 and they all went to Korea and they're talking because
yeah.
everyone's talking about going to Korea because
Yeah.
they're the ones that know so much about where the field of wellness and skincare and beauty is
Absolutely.
all going. So people are flying over there in the masses to get things done,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, I
Um,
know Dr. On said I need to go with him. I'm like, I promise you I will go next year. I cannot wait to go. I'm really excited to go over there and check everything out. But he always goes there for a few weeks every year and always comes back with something new and exciting. And yeah, he already knew about the Onda. So when Cartessa said we're selling 10, that's it. We're selling 10 right now. Dr. On jumped on it because he already knew about it.
mhm.
He's ahead of the game. Just like a few other things that we got way before anybody else did in America. And it's taking years for it to catch on. Sofwave being another
I
one.
was going to
I love,
ask you, what are your thoughts on Sofwave?
I
And
love Sofwave.
listeners, Sofwave is Sofwave, not
Correct.
soft, right? Okay,
Right.
so talk about
Sofwave.
Sofwave.
I love Sofwave. We've had it now since 2022. So I've had it for 4 years now, where most people are just now getting it. I've done hundreds of them. And the manner in which we use the treatment has evolved since it first came out, and we can get some amazing results with that. That's using ultrasound waves to tighten skin, and that works beautifully on skinny faces. Okay.
Mhm.
So think of the Sofwave as like a targeted shrink wrap. So if we try and get a specific amount of energy in a very specific sized area. So like your upper face, if I can kind of pull right here on your cheekbone and it will lift, then that'll be a great area in a soft wave because that will shrink wrap and lift in this area. If your forehead is pretty mobile and you have a droopy brow, then you can do the soft wave over this brow and really lift that brow. But if it's not very mobile, then it's not going to do a great job. If you have a very heavy face, it's not the best. And yesterday I did a consultation where I told the lady she would do best with soft wave on her upper face, but Onda for her lower face because she had a very heavy lower face,
Mhm.
but her upper face was thinner and more lax. So soft wave to upper face to lift that mid cheek area, but Onda to the lower face, because if I did the soft wave on her lower face, it really wasn't going to do a whole lot. And I absolutely couldn't do the Onda to her upper face because we didn't want to melt fat there. So the thing that Koreans do best is understanding multimodality approach to skincare and aging. It's not just one thing. If we had one thing that worked for everybody, we'd only have one thing. And that's the beauty of all the things in the beauty industry, is that it's the blessing and the curse of all of the things in my industry. I have something that will work for everybody in different pieces, but just because it worked for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for someone else. And that's what I see in all of these forums all the time. So I go, well, I use the Zurf because it worked great for me. You should try it. Well, maybe that's not what's going to work for you. Or if people go, oh, the Morpheus messed my face up, and giving the Morpheus a bad name, well, probably you were a good candidate for the Morpheus, and that's why it messed your face up. Somebody didn't properly assess you, and that's why you got a bad result. So just,
I have to say, I
yeah,
love that about you, because and listeners, you have to be so careful. I mean, I know that everybody's cost conscious. We all should be, by
yeah,
the way. It's
right.
very expensive to do things,
Yes.
and not everybody can afford them. But you also have to be really careful about, I'm not going to say where, but one time I was trying, I mean, I'm honest. I've been doing Botox, like I said, since I was 25 years old in this area. And then I switched to Dysport, and I've done all different kinds of things. But when you go to these places and they have a special, and you just are trying to, one time I looked like Picasso. I had one eyebrow down here and one was up here. And you just, you have to be really careful about who you're choosing, where you're even it's money is money.
Right.
Maybe if
Yeah.
you can't, just wait. Don't put things
Right.
in your face and end up looking like Picasso, or watered down stuff. You hear stories about, I don't
Yeah.
know if you heard that about that man in New York last year that wasn't even an RN. He was putting something into people's faces, and I
Yeah.
don't know if it was cement, and he ended up getting arrested. You just
It
have to
it
be so,
happens all
so
the time.
careful.
It
Yeah.
happens all the time. And
Yeah.
and another important thing that I really want your listeners to know about aesthetics specifically, if your injector says she's a certified injector, then find out what that actually means, okay?
Mhm.
Because a new nurse fresh out of school can go to a 2-day course and become certified, not touching anybody and never having a real mentor. I have something called a certified aesthetic nurse specialist certification. And that means that I have had to be supervised by a plastic surgeon or dermatologist for over 2 years and be endorsed by them to be able to even sit for the exam that makes me certified. And less than 5% of aesthetic injectors have that certification. But if I say I'm a certified aesthetic nurse specialist and the girl next to me, fresh out of school, says, well, I'm a certified injector, the layman doesn't know the difference
Mhm.
between the two. And it's really important to understand the difference between the two, because you need to have, everybody needs to start somewhere. And God, I know that everyone, and they're not as lucky as I am that have the background and the opportunities that I've had. And it's really hard to break into this field as a nurse and get the proper training and mentorship. And that's why people go to these Groupon places to get practiced on, basically. And if you're buying Groupons, you're being practiced on. And that's the long and short of it. So, buyer beware. If you're going to get your Botox or your lasers through a Groupon to save money, it's because your person doing it is learning.
I'm
And
so glad you said that, because that's so important.
it
And
really is.
people need to be careful, because you don't know. I didn't even know. Years ago, I did the filler, and somebody said, "Oh, if you go to the wrong person and they're doing filler," I just did a little bit. It can go into other areas of your
Yeah.
face. It's dangerous.
It,
People just take things for granted, and they think, "Oh, I'm just going to do something to my face, no big deal." But you never know. You're still
it's
putting something
still
in
a
your face.
medical procedure. And
Yeah.
and we've normalized aesthetics so much that people don't see it as a medical procedure. Speaking of which, and please, all listeners, aesthetics is a medical procedure. You are being treated by a nurse or a doctor. That means you do not tip. Okay. It's
Mhm.
not a tippable industry. If you're asking, if your place is asking you for tips, then buyer beware as well. Yeah, I mean, I work in a doctor's office. I also work in a boutique medical spa. And I always tell my clients, tipping is not a thing here. If you want to give me a tip, write a review, because that's all I really want. You
By the
know?
way, I forgot to write you a review. I'm doing that, I promise. Okay, in closing, so I would like to ask you, and then we're going to tell everyone where they can find the app, all of that stuff.
Right.
So if there's something that you tell people, don't ever do this. Is there something that you can tell my listeners, do not do this? I'm going to say from personal experience, I'll be honest. I did threads, and you
Off.
can say what you want about threads. In my
Yeah.
own personal experience, I like them in some ways. I did it in another way. One time I did them in my face. It was the most painful
Yes.
experience of my life. I couldn't open my mouth, which actually my husband
Right.
was very happy about for probably however long they lasted. So for me, that's something I personally would never do again. So you tell me
I
something that
I
you think
will
people
agree
shouldn't
with
do.
you with the threads. I have been to several thread trainings, okay, and
Okay.
with some of the best thread experts, and I have done threads many times. I really just don't do them anymore. I in very, very, very few people are really good candidates for threads. And I do it very selectively. Now, that's for thread lifting. Now,
Mhm.
mono threads, smooth threads that are collagen building threads, and love them, love them, love
What does
them.
that mean for my listeners? What's the difference? So the one thread is for lifting, like basically like a
Right,
facelift, and then after
right,
6 months, your whole face falls
correct.
down again.
Right,
What's
but
the mono thread?
mono threads are made out of the same material as the lifting threads without the barbs. So mono threads are like little hair-like threads that get inserted just under the skin in folds, in wrinkles, anywhere where you want to build some collagen. So they're a great substitute to filler in nasolabial folds, marionette lines, because they go in, your body breaks them down, turns them into collagen. And they're not lifting, they're not pulling, and they're a great substitute for filler in certain areas when people have filler fatigue and they're tired of fillers. And filler has its place. It absolutely does. I'm not the biggest fan of filler. I'm not the biggest fan of thread lifting. And I've been doing them for years. I just use that judiciously and sparingly because my biggest thing in the way I practice is trying to restore what has been lost and trying to rewind um, what time has done. So I will always ask people that come see me, show me a picture of you. What did you look like 10 years ago or 5 years ago or when you were happiest? Show me what that picture looks like. And then we can see how are we going to restore that? Not how are we going to change you into somebody that you never looked like, because that's the
Mhm.
worst thing you can do. Unless you're somebody that is unfortunate looking, that really wants to look like somebody else.
Yeah.
And that is usually geared towards plastic surgery, is what you really need is a surgeon to alter you permanently if you really hate the way you were born and want to look completely different. But that's not how I practice. I practice more to restore what has been lost over time.
Okay. And then last, and I keep saying last, but
I know.
honestly, this is
We could go on
another.
and on for
I mean,
hours.
honest,
You know.
I think it's a big topic for my listeners because
Yep.
women, I have a lot of female listeners and some men, and men want to figure out anti-aging as well. But what about Sculptra?
Love Sculptra.
Okay. So tell all my
Absolutely love
listeners
Sculptra.
why you love Sculptra. So filler, by the way, so you don't want to look like, I mean, I hate to say this. Madonna looks good now, but she did all that filler in her
Yeah.
cheeks, and then they say it can seep into the rest of your face. Tell
Yeah.
people the difference between Sculptra and filler.
Okay, so filler, dermal filler is made out of hyaluronic acid. We make our own hyaluronic acid in our body. Over time, we don't make it as much and we break it down faster than we make it. So dermal filler is the hyaluronic acid we naturally make combined with a polymer to keep it from breaking down as quickly as we do naturally. And then it acts like, think of it like a balloon. Okay. It's going in there. It's like a balloon and it is pulling your face out to volumize it. And then it will go away or it will migrate because some people don't break down the polymer that it is cross-linked with very well. And it does. And so for me, one brand of filler I metabolize out in 3 months, but another brand lasts for a long time in my body. And it's just the way that my unique chemistry metabolizes that specific polymer made by that specific company. And so everybody is different. And we say, well, which one is the best? Well, whatever one works for you is the best.
Hmm.
Uh, and then Sculptra is different because it is a polylactic acid. And what that is, this is a powdered particles that we hydrate with sterile water. We inject under the skin. And then over 24 hours, the water is absorbed that we hydrated it with to get it in your body. The particle remains, and then the particles break down over time. And I tell people in the simplest terms to think of Sculptra like collagen food. Okay. And your body's going to break down the polylactic acid and it's going to turn it into collagen. So it's great for people like myself, skinny faces. Okay. I have a very thin face, and without Sculptra, I look like the Scream mask. I am turning into a skeleton. I am a very thin face. You have a fuller face. So
Hello.
for you, Sculptra is no good. Okay.
No, it is good. It is good for
It is good for certain little places for you.
yeah. Okay.
But for me, I use Sculptra in massive quantities because it fills out my lateral face where I was turning into a skeleton, and then everything in the front was hanging down. So
Yeah.
Sculptra is great for the outsides of your face, the lateral face, to help lift it from the outside. Filler can work there too. Absolutely can. But Sculptra works to restore collagen where collagen has been lost. Filler works to balloon out where volume has been lost. And they both have their place and they can both be used, but the injector you go to should know the difference between what's going to work for you and what's going to work over time best to work for you over time and to help you age the way you want to age. Because some people just want a quick fix and camouflage, and other people sincerely just want to restore what is lost. And when you want to restore what is lost, it takes time.
Yeah.
And people
And
don't
it's like
want
it's
that
like
time.
going to the gym for your face,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so in closing, I want everyone to know, and listeners, if you're listening to me and you're like, "Ugh, Meghan, you're so well, it doesn't help that my mom was in beauty pageants, and I grew up my whole life just being, but I also I'm very open, and I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to look good for as long as you can. But
Right.
that's not me also telling you, listeners, you need to go out and do a bunch of things to your face. If you want to download this app because you want to feel better, you're going to look better just by downloading the app, by learning some new tips on getting more micronutrients or whatever you're lacking, your vitamin D, all of the things, or you might be dealing with rosacea and you're eating. So I just personally am
Yes, exactly.
I'm fascinated by how these two things go together. So
Right.
that's why I wanted Michelle to come on today, because I think it's really, really important that we talk about these things and we understand that you could, like I said, you could be getting Botox or Dysport or whatever you're doing all day, but if you're not eating correctly or you're not lacking in other areas, you're not going to feel good. So
Right.
tell everyone where they can find the app, how they can download it, and where they can find you.
So the app is called Integrated Her, one word, not two words. And it is found on both the Apple iStore and the Google Play. And you can find, there's a website as well that also can take you to the prospective app stores, integratedher.com. And then you can find me personally if you're in Southern California at Awaken Aesthetics in Torrance with Dr. Eric Owen, or at Renovue Med Spa in Culver City. That's RENOUVEAU, which I did not name it. So I just say it's very hard to pronounce and to spell, but I work there as well. So I'm at two different spas owned by two different doctors. And then I made an app as well. Now, to be clear, the app does not tell you to go get Botox and fillers. And the app will not tell you to go get the Onda. The app will say things like, okay, this is what your skin is doing. This is what you can do to help your skin. These are the ingredients you can look for. Your hair is falling out and you've had hair loss because of thyroid dysfunction that we've determined. You can look at, different ways for hair restoration, red light therapy, microneedling, different resurfacing lasers, types of lasers you can go search for, but it will not guide you to anything specific because I am not sponsored by anybody. I am not selling for any specific company, and I am not taking any of your data, and I'm not keeping any of your data. So all the things that you put into this app are for you to keep And when you delete the app or erase the app, all your stuff is erased. I don't keep any of that data either. So it is mainly, I truly just made it to help the people that come see me in the masses, because I don't have enough time to talk to people the way I'm talking to you all day, every day, and help more than just a handful of people. I want to help as many women as possible get at least a good direction to go to and get some insight to know that when they go to a doctor or go to an aesthetic provider, that they're going for something that's actually going to apply to them, that's actually going to work for them, and they won't feel like, am I being taken advantage of?
Yeah.
That's the long and short of it.
Yeah. And I'm going to give a shout out to Dr. On, because he's fabulous. And so is
I love
Faith at
it.
his office. I'm going to give her a shout out too. And Esther, by the way.
Yeah.
So in closing, I just want to say I am so fortunate because I'm spoiled. I live in Southern California and I get to go to you, Michelle, and I'm excited to start using this app. For my listeners, like we talked about it throughout the episode, do your homework, please. Your health is so important, and that's first and foremost. So if you're going somewhere and they're telling you you need to be put on a peptide and you're not getting blood tests and you don't know where you're getting a GLP-1, it's not like Zepbound or a name brand from a doctor, just please listen to me and do your homework. I've heard of tons of people that have had side effects, and we talked about the one lady you talked about. Your health, we have a very short time on this earth as people, and we just want to live and have the longevity that we all want, and that includes taking care of yourself, cutting down our drinking, which I'm trying to do. It's summer, that's not a great time, but all the things we talk about are important, and we just want to, as women, look and feel our best. So that's why we did this episode today. So thank you, Michelle, for coming on. Listeners, please, if you're so inclined, go to Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening, and leave me a quick review. I so appreciate my listeners, and I so appreciate your reviews. In closing, keep going. You matter. Your story matters.
Judging Meghan with Meghan Judge.